back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tori and I am your Arizona wedding and family photographer. Today we will be editing a bridal portrait together. The goal for this photo is a fairy tale slash romantic, dark and moody, but yet vibrant kind of a feel. The image on the left, as you can see, that is going to be our before image. That is the raw image that's right out of the camera. And the image on the right is what we're going to be accomplishing. The fun part about what I do and about being a photographer is there's no limit as to what you can or cannot do when you're editing. So whether you're a newer photographer and you're just here to see how other people edit or to learn Lightroom, or maybe you're just bored and want to see how other people edit their images, that's what I'm here for. I'm just going to show you how I did this. Now, obviously, there's no right or wrong way to edit an image. This is just how I wanted to do this particular image. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this entirely. So that'll be our end game. Okay, so this is before. Now, as you can see, this image is already good. It's right out of camera. It's the raw image, like I said. Up here under the histogram, you can see that I shot this image on an 85mm prime. I shot this on a Nikon D750 with an 85mm prime. I chose to shoot this at an ISO of 100 because, again, I'm in Arizona. It's very bright here, so my ISO tends to be very low. I shot this at a 1.4 aperture, so that's why there's a lot of natural background blur. And I shot this at 1/1000th of a second. So this, again, right out of camera. So what we're going to do first, and this, like I said, this is already a beautiful image. I could definitely deliver this image to the client, but fun part of what we do is editing it and having a good time. So the first thing that I am going to do, we are going to bring up bring this up just a smidge. Okay, let's go ahead and look at exposure. It's already properly exposed, so we don't really need to do anything there, but we are going to boost the contrast. Okay, so already just a slight difference. I'm going to bring the shadows down next. And you'll see the subtle changes as we keep going. I'm going to bring the highlights up a smidge. Now we can see that doing those adjustments, she's quite overexposed where everything else is kind of dark in the back. So we're going to bring the whites down a smidge. Yeah, about there. That's a good jumping off point. And then the blacks, we're going to go ahead and bring those up. So what we just kind of did is balanced the background and her body because we have a dark background and the bride is very bright. So we're just kind of balancing the two to start with. Okay, let's go down. I think I want to do something with our tone curves. I think that's the good next place to go. Okay, so in our tone curves, we have the gray button. That's what we're going to work on right now, the point curve. And this is where we can really make a lot of change on an image. Very subtle and also very dramatic. So you got to be, you just got to play with it and see what you like. So I'm going to bring it down about there. I'm going to put point about here, and then maybe like right here we're going to make a point. All right, and then the point down here on the bottom, we're going to rise this. Oh, what's really great about playing with this feature in Lightroom is you see I just created a more hazy, kind of an airy look to this jumping off point when we're starting our edit. And that's what I love about Lightroom, is once you get to learn these little tools, you can really make a lot of changes or subtle changes, whatever your heart desires. All right, so let's go ahead to the reds. Now, this is a trust the process moment because it's about to look a little crazy, but do you trust me? I hope you trust me. All right, we're obviously very blue. Yes, I know, but trust the process. All right, now we're going to combat that greenish blue with this purple. So maybe like, okay. Now let's go over to our blues. I am going to take this little point, bring it up about there. All right, we're going to take a point down here. Now you see how this is starting to kind of even out. as you go, just kind of move it around. And as you learn these tools, you kind of figure out how to mess things up and then put them back together. Already, look at this night and day difference. Already starting to look very whimsical, kind of fairy tale-esque. I don't know what to call it, fairy tale-esque. Okay, let's move down to our hues. Now, this is going to take a lot of tweaking. So as you're editing your images, your eye is going to say yes or no to certain things, but you kind of learn how to balance colors out as you start going. All right, so hue, I'm going to bring this up to about 33. Yeah, about 33, 34, yeah. All right, orange, we're going to go ahead and bring this to about 10. Go. All right, so we have a lot of red here, so we do need to correct the red. And there's a number of ways we can do this, and I will show you how I'm doing that for this particular photo. So we'll bring reds down. We don't want to bring it down too much, right? Because then we don't want to lose all of our red. So it's all about balance. All right, let's look at these greens. We have such rich greens. I don't want to lose the greens. I want to keep a lot of those greens. So about, yeah, 33, 34, 32, somewhere in there. Okay. And then magenta, we're going to bring this down just a little bit because magenta really plays a role in skin tones, especially for the fair-skinned beauties. All right, let's go to luminance here. Now, luminance is really cool because you can really brighten up certain colors. So bringing up this red to about 42, 41, 42 in there, that just evened out her skin tone a little bit more. All right, and then orange, we're gonna brighten up the orange just a little tiny bit, so about 8. Greens, we're also going to brighten the greens to about 15. And then magentas, we're also going to brighten up a little bit to about 13. All right. So far, we're doing really good on this picture. We've got our before and after. You see how far we've come so far. All right, but we're not done yet. We're going to keep making this even more epic. I am going to do a little bit of a vignette, not a heavy one. We don't want it dramatic, right? But just maybe like about there, just to kind of make everything around her dark so she pops even just a little bit more. Okay, now we're going to play with the calibration colors. So for our red, we're going to bring this down at about 25, and that just really kind of subtly changes the reds in the image, which I think is really a good thing to play with. Don't be scared to play with these, okay? That's what Adobe designed them for, is for you to play with and see what you like. I also brought the blues down, or just kind of changed the overall blue there, so that's what we have. Okay, so this is what we're left with after going through the different features. Now, as you can see, she's kind of red in here, but we don't want to get rid of the red lips. Say that 10 times fast. We don't want to get rid of the red lips. So we need to remove some reds from her skin without compromising her lips. So we're going to go ahead and take our brush tool, and we're going to make it real small, and we're going to paint just on her face, around her lips, not on her lips, and then also on her hands. See how her hands are kind of red? Okay, so all we're going to do now is bring down the saturation a little bit. We don't want it to go too crazy because then we lose all her color. So maybe there's good. So you see how we preserved her lips? We want those to stay nice and red because that's very fairy tale. All right, we're almost done. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna step this up a little bit, make it a little bit more fairy tale. And the way to do that, in my opinion, is we're gonna go ahead and take our gradient. Okay, and we're going to, bear with me while I get this worked out. Maybe like a diagonal, because it's kind of like a diagonal shape of her body. Let's try to mimic that. Okay, so the goal is to keep her in focus, but to blur around her even more. Just trust the process. So we don't want to blur her out where the red, so where the red hits her is where the image is going to be affected. We don't want her to have any effect. So we're going to go over to Invert and click that button. Now, do you see how everything outside of her is going to be affected? So if we bump up this exposure, you see how she's fine, but everything else changed? That's what we're gonna do. So let's go ahead and make this wider. So everything outside of her is going to be affected. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take the sharpness and we're gonna bring that all the way down. All the way down. So you can see that even blurred around her even more with preserving her. We want to keep her safe. All right, so we're done. We're gonna hit done there. So far we have this before and after. It's looking really beautiful. Now, she's very bright. Everything around her is pretty dark. So one option that you could do when you're at this point of making drastic edits is you can always warm things up by just moving your warming slider here, or your temp slider. I'm going to keep it to where it was because I don't want necessarily over warming on this image. I want it to be real romantic and kind of dusk looking. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but but what I do want to do is kind of enhance the building around her a little bit more so it's not completely darkened out of the background. So we are going to go ahead and take a brush and let's highlight around the building, shall we? Maybe just like these parts, maybe up here where we have a little natural light peeking in. Maybe we want to even enhance the texture of this building around her a little bit, and then maybe this beautiful archway. How about that? Let's start here. Oh, and maybe this part right here. Let's start here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the exposure. Do you see how just the smallest adjustment just made the house in the background pop? It almost kind of looks like a castle. And I'm just going to play with these. Let's bring up the highlights a little bit. Doesn't do much, but it's just a little bit. Now, what if we bring up the warmth? Ooh, that added very nice texture looking to the house. All right, I like that a lot. Okay, let's go ahead and click done so we get out of there. I think this is beautiful. The only last thing that I would do to finish this image off is maybe just bring down this brightness just a little tiny bit. She's a little bit bright, her dress anywho. So let's bring down highlights right there. That looks good. That way she looks like not overexposed. All right. I like this. I think this is really beautiful, and this is the final image I would deliver to my client. Now remember, keep in mind, photography is completely whatever you want it to be. So if you want to deliver the image right out of camera with a few basic adjustments, by all means do it. If you want to get creative and do more things in Lightroom, don't be afraid to do so. That's what it was designed to do, is to get creative, try things out. Like and follow my page for more videos like this. If you liked this type of an edit, could you please comment and let me know? Let me know what you want to see. Let me know your experience level. I want to get to know the people that are going to follow this page and kind of understand what it is that you're looking for in your photography editing education. So whether it's editing or maybe it's more so about photo shoots, photography, anything, please let me know. This channel is designed for educational purposes. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that you liked this video. Please subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.